This is a Willets Point Shea Stadium bound 7 express train. The next and last stop is Willets Point, Shea Stadium.
Oh, yes, it is the Subway to Shea podcast. Anthony Rivera here with you, talking about all the news and happenings surrounding that team from Queens, the New York Mets. It's not a podcast. This is the series preview for the Mets and Kansas City Royals here with you live. And we're going to do a little recap of the Braves. I got my good friend Jeff Cohen in the house from Baseball and Barbecue Podcast. Jeff, how you doing, my friend?
Very good, Ann. Thanks for having me.
This is going to be a lot of fun today because we're coming in here. Mets win.
Oh, yeah.
This series against the Braves. Although I was told on Twitter it doesn't officially count because we didn't count the fourth game. But I still count this as a series win. What about you?
Absolutely. Take it when we get it. Yes.
Absolutely, man. You got to take it when you get it. Shout out to everyone here that's in the chat so far. 9 people in here. Keep filing on in. We're going to talk a lot of Mets today. Shout out to Darren Rivera, who's in the house. Shout out to Carlos Ortiz, who's here. Lane Kerner, who's also here. So we are going to get started, and we got a lot to talk about today. And let's get started with a little recap here of what happened in the Mets versus Braves series. And you look at it, finally, the Mets win their second series in a row, take this 2-1 over the Atlanta Braves. Mets come from behind in game 1, down 4 at the start, only getting 2 innings from Julio Teheran, and he's out of here. They moved on from him really quick. They beat him 8-7 in game 1. They scored 5 runs in game 2 in the bottom of the 8th, but it wasn't enough. They did try to pull a little comeback in that game, but eventually lost 6-5. And today, absolutely crushed the Braves 16-4 in game 3. The offense was totally alive, scored 29 runs in this series. And what I was reading, I think SNY Mets on Twitter posted it, was that the Mets had scored 25 total runs in the first 9 games of this season, and to now score a total of 29 runs here. I think that's a pretty good offense showing right there. Good at bats from some struggling Mets: Jeff McNeil, DJ Stewart, who I kind of booted out before he hit that first home run of the season. Harrison Bader even had some good at bats, although his play in the outfield has been okay, and his base running has not been well, but he did get some good at bats. No Edwin Diaz this series, so that was surprising that we didn't even get to see him. But the bullpen I thought was solid and got the necessary outs it's needed up. Did I miss anything from what I just said, Jeff, that you want to touch on right now?
No, I think they really came out to play. I mean, that second game when they lost 6-5. I mean, they came back in late innings. They tried to pull it out, but they just couldn't. But yeah, the first game was terrific. Win 8-7. You get a little nail biting at the end there, but they especially when Darno hit that last fly ball at the right field. But they obviously they pulled out the victory, and it was great. And today's victory was just amazing. They had their bats going today. You can just tell, but right off the bat, that everybody was hitting, except for Lindor, but he did get a hit. But once he comes around, could you imagine this offense?
Yeah, he is really the only one that really needs to get started. And I thought we started to see that on Sunday against Cincinnati, but he could not replicate that in this Braves series. And you know what? I don't even blame him, because if you looked at the matchups before the series started, he did not hit well against the pitchers in this rotation. So, I wasn't really expecting a lights out Francisco Lindor to come here. Now you get to go home. We get a little bit of home cooking, hopefully, against Kansas City, who's I think they're 9-4 to start the season.
They started 2-4, and now they're 9-4. So
wow.
They've won 7 in a row.
And today, didn't they put up a 9 spot in the first inning?
9 spot in the first inning against the Astros.
Unreal. We're going to get to that series shortly, but to continue on with this Braves series, the Mets fan has so much scar tissue from the 90s on facing this Atlanta Braves team ever since they came into the National League East. And the fact that, to me, 10 runs, 12 runs, maybe even 16 runs might have not been enough to beat the Atlanta Braves. It says something about that offense because they're amazing. And we didn't even see Ronald Acuna at his
I
best.
know.
Like, he was really quiet this entire series.
I know, yeah. The Mets were up 7-0 today, and then the Braves start chipping away 7-1, 7. They got to 7-3. I'm going. Now's the time to tack on some runs just to keep them down. And today the Mets got it done.
You know what? I was a little disappointed that Quintana couldn't do the full 6 for us.
Yes,
Just a
yeah.
little bit. He pitched okay. He
Mhm.
got the victory today. I just was hoping with, all the pressure off the Mets back here in this game that he would be able to, at least give us 6 because, Adrian Hauser only gave us 5 the game before, and he struggled really bad in that game.
Oh yeah, they were lazing.
Yeah.
Hit off the bat off the Hauser, and you knew he was going to struggle of the 5. He got through 5, but it was a struggle. And
He shouldn't have, though, right? Like, he really should not have been through 5 innings.
Right. No, I agree. And the Braves were just taking off on him. It was just they were all hard hit balls, and you just knew.
Yeah, Julio Teheran only gave us 2 runs, and I know the Mets bullpen gave up a couple runs in the first game and in the second game, but considering how they had to win those games and what we saw from Drew Smith in the series, and we saw was his name Tyler J, right? Tyler J.
Yes.
Tyler J today. And how about, Reed Garrett? I mean, Reed Garrett has really come out of nowhere. And I know it's only been a couple of games, but if he can continue this up, we're not going to miss a guy like Michael Tonkin, who, really that's his role. That's Michael Tonkin's role. And Reed Garrett has come and taken it. And we've seen this kind of no nonsense from the Mets front office where if you're not playing well, you're gone.
Exactly.
So especially in the pitching staff. So it's nice to see something like that where we don't hold on to these guys for too long. Dominic Leone wouldn't have made it under David Stearns. That's for sure.
Right. Absolutely not. But they sold Tompkin to the Twins. So they got a few bucks back for that. I mean, I know Tehran signed a $2.5 million contract, but that was prorated. So it's only cost them $54,000. I'm sorry?
Was it 450,000, right?
Something
like that.
54,000 for the day for 2.2 innings. A lot of money, but okay. In baseball, it's monopoly money. Goodbye.
For 2 innings.
Yeah.
For 2 innings, unbelievable. 44 people up in here. Thanks so much for joining in to this live. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you're subscribing to Subway to Shea. I'll put that banner on the bottom where you can catch all of my stuff right there for you, so you can check that out. And make sure you're catching Baseball and Barbecue as well. You guys don't have YouTube, right? It's just purely audio.
We have a couple of videos up there. We do preview our upcoming episodes on YouTube. We do have a couple of things that we did go to Foley's years ago, so that video's up there before it was closed by the pandemic. And we did go to Hinchcliffe Stadium in Jersey. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That video's up there.
That's in my neck of the woods.
Yeah, we're not really too much on YouTube.
And they can find you wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Make sure you're listening to Baseball and Barbecue. Jeff Cohen, Leonard Aberman, 2 great guys. Make sure you're following and subscribing. And like Wardy NYM says, hit that like button. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate you for being in here. We got my guy, Max Musings in here. Mets Musings. My guy, Mac. Baseball and Barbecue is the best. That is true. That is very true. And make sure you're tuning in. Patty in NYC saying the Mets really, really wanted to beat the Braves hangover. I said this on Twitter. At some point, the New York Mets have to overcome this team and have to overcome the demons against the Braves. It doesn't matter what decade it's been. Atlanta has been an absolute house of horrors. And to get at least this one series the way that they did, they kind of lucked into game 1, right? Like they stole that game.
Yeah.
Game 2, they kind of tried to come back. Didn't go as well, mounting that comeback. Game 3 was an absolute, crushing of the Braves, and you like to see that. And now the Mets are, what are they, like 5-1 or 5-2 in their last?
5-2 since that bad start. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that the season is just beginning. It was just beginning when they were 0-5. It's still beginning now. I mean, I'm not going to put 100% emphasis on the way this team's playing now because it's probably not even 100% yet. So the Mets will continue to roll as these series keep coming in. Trying to think of what else to take away from this Brave series. It was nice to finally see. We got a little tidbit of it in the Cincinnati series, but Brandon Nimmo, with the bat, hitting 2 home runs in game 1, the 1 3-run home run to tie it, and then he tied it again not too far later on in the
He
game.
sure
So
did.
nice to see him get going.
He had a triple today.
He had a
You were
triple
saying about
today.
saying about the House of Horrors in Atlanta. Didn't Gary Cohen say today? I think they lost 16 of 20 to the Braves. That's
Yes.
unbelievable.
Yeah, it has been a struggle over the last couple of years. Especially, after they got out to such a great start in 2022, they had that series, that last series where DeGrom made his triumphant return
Mhm.
was the last time we really played well against the Braves. And then from there, it went down there. So
Yeah.
downhill. But Brandon Nimmo, great at bats this series. Jeff McNeil, slowly but surely,
He
he's starting to hit now. He's starting to get his hits. He had 3 RBIs today.
You know what?
Yeah.
He took advantage today when the Mets had bases loaded, no one out, and they were going to hit it. He's going to hit a double. Someone's going to hit a double play right before McNeil. I forgot who it was, but it was an error. Mets scored a run, and then he hits a double. I mean, that could have been an inning double play.
Yeah.
And to take advantage of that, that's what they got to do.
It was great to see him take advantage too, because the night before he was unable to. He had left a lot of guys on
Right.
base. They were struggling to just, get some runs in there. But it's great to see McNeil, start to come around a little bit. Need him. He's an important cog in this offense, and what he provides may not be, power wise, but him able to, slap the ball opposite field, get some hits into the gap. That's something that we're going to need, from him, especially when, guys like, Lindor take a day, are struggling,
Mhm.
like before Nimmo was struggling. And also, DJ Stewart, who he kind of woke up this series and had a couple of big home runs,
Yeah.
none bigger than in game 1,
Sure.
which was very important because by the time that at bat was, due, I was ready to, wash my hands clean and call up Mark Vientos up here, because he has been struggling. I
Yeah.
think that was his first hit
First hit.
of the
First hit.
entire
Yeah.
season. So, great to see him make me eat crow. I'll admit it.
Mhm.
Anytime I am able to be wrong, especially in that big spot right there, I will take it in a heartbeat.
And isn't it nice to see Brett Beatty coming around? I mean, he's really maturing into a really good third baseman today. The last couple of days he's been really good, and his defense, and he's hitting. He's hitting over 300.
Yeah, he is. He's batting well. He got a big hit in the first inning today to
Yep.
bring in a run, and most importantly, his defense has been spectacular.
Oh yeah. Yes.
All started in that, Cincinnati series, and he has not let up since. A lot of great plays from him, and you can see the confidence, you can see the smile, you could see, the energy from Brett Beatty, and that's what we were hoping for. And hopefully he's come around and to stay for good. And his counterpart in Francisco Alvarez as well. Nice to
Mhm.
see Francisco Alvarez come back, because he had the day off from, well, did he have to? Yes, he did, because Narvaez caught game 2.
Right.
And then they had the off day. So he was a little bit banged up. Nice to see Francisco Alvarez
Yeah.
come back, get a couple of hits, and score a couple of runs here.
Yeah. Narvaez had a pretty good game offensive game on the second game Tuesday. The first the defense, not so much.
No.
That
His
little league.
defense it might be a problem
Yeah.
moving forward, but he's trying to counterbalance that with the offense.
Mhm.
The last 2 games he started, he's had 5 hits
Yeah.
now in 2
And his
games.
offense is good. Yeah.
It's what I expected of him last year before he got hurt
Yeah.
and missed most of the season. So, if Narvaez can be that viable, backstop offensively, he's just got to work on the defense, because,
Yeah.
he looked like a deer in the headlights in that game against Cincinnati, where they lost and blew that game. Too many mental errors.
Uh-huh.
And, you see in the press conference, he didn't even know what to say. So, I just hope that he's able to turn this around, because Francisco Alvarez can't do it by himself. He's not going to be able to play every single game. I know people were frustrated that he wasn't playing,
Yeah.
on Tuesday, and it's like, he's a catcher, man.
Yeah.
He can take some in, he'll get hurt.
Yeah.
Mike Piazza got banged up all the time back there. All the catchers do.
Still do.
So, let's move on to the series preview for the Kansas City Royals and the Mets game. Got 85 people in here. Appreciate every single one of you. Ibby in the house from Till Mets Do Us Part. Thank you so much for calling in here. Lane Kerner saying the Mets DFA'd Julio Teheran. That is true. They did that, and he decided not to take the, option to go to AAA and decided to become a free agent. So he is done with the Mets. And that was pretty quick. I was surprised that they did that. I was surprised that they brought him in the first place. But I knew the fact that some of our guys that got sent to the minors wouldn't be able to be up here until tomorrow. And we'll probably see one of those guys this weekend. And let's get into this series right now between the Mets and the Royals. Look at a couple of pitching probables here for this series. Luis Severino. Let me close out the comment for a second. There we go. And the banner so we can see the ERA. There we go. Okay. Luis Severino getting game 1 on Friday against Michael Wacha, former Met Michael Wacha, who's pitched well ever since he's left New York.
Exactly.
He has been a revelation since leaving New York. He's 1-0 with a 2.25 ERA. You also have Sean Manaea, who's been great to start the season. 0.82 ERA, pitched very well on Sunday. He'll be going up against Alec Marsh, who's 1-0 with a 3.09 ERA. And then Cole Reagans, who's 0-1 with a 2.60 ERA, will be going up against to be determined, which I assume is going to be Jose Butto in that spot.
That's why I think Butto.
And what are your thoughts so far on what you've seen from these guys in the pitching staff, from the Mets, from Severino, from Manaea, and even Jose Butto?
The pitching staff has been pretty good, and Sean Manaea has been outstanding. Severino, he could really be outstanding if he just stays in his lane. He just tries to be a little too cute, and then gets the first game he started. That first start of his, that was just bad luck. The Zach Short era, and in another era, he just got discombobulated. But he'll come around. 3.6 ERA isn't that terrible? Hauser, like I said, like we discussed before, he's going to be off and on. You're going to know when he's going to get hit, and then he's going to pitch very well. Manaea is just been a godsend so far. He has been fantastic, and I just hope he goes longer in innings. The whole staff goes a little more, goes 5-6 innings. I don't think anybody have been in the 6th inning yet. So that's a big problem.
I think a couple of them have gotten to the 6th inning, but they haven't finished.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sean Manaea got to the 6th inning once.
That's the issue.
Got there once, but the average 4.8 innings.
Yeah, it has to be better. We have to get to a point by the end of this month where these guys have built up enough stamina to go 6 innings. They have to. I mean, this bullpen can't withstand that like they couldn't last season. And we're talking about now healthy pitchers that we have. Last season, Max Scherzer was hurt. Justin Verlander was hurt. Kodai Senga just came into the league, so we had to monitor his innings and pitch count. And, it was a struggle for this rotation. And the bullpen, who pitched very well in April, by the time May and June came around, it was pretty much, the Trevor Gotts and Dominic Leones of the world, Jeff Bringham's, and it was just not good at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Pulling back up these pitching matchups right now, which one are you looking forward to the most? And you can include Jose Butto being that, to be determined game if you'd like. Which are you interested in watching?
I tell you the truth, it's going to be Saturday's game, Sean Manaea and against Alec Marsh, because I'm going to be there. So I can't wait to see Sean Manaea in action. So that's the game I'm going to. And Sean Manaea has been pitching great, and just hope he continues.
Well, I'm going Sunday for the retirement of Doc Gooden. I just hope that we get to see Jose Butto and not some other signee that the Mets make going in that game in game 3. But I'm trying to pull up here some of the Mets pitching, not the pitching matchups, but the matchups against some of the hitters here in against Kansas City. If I could find that up here. Here we go.
Kansas City's a tough club.
They
I mean,
are.
they have 4 guys batting over 300 in their starting lineup.
Yeah.
Salvatore Perez is, he's what, 34, 35 years old. He's still over a good hitter. He's still hitting over 300. Bobby Witt is going to be a star. He's over 300. It's going to be a tough lineup to navigate.
I'm glad you brought up Salvador Perez. He in 13 at bats, he's got a home run and 3 RBIs against Luis Severino. So, that's something to look out for. For the Mets side of that game against Michael Wacha, 34 at bats for Starling Marte, 265 batting average. He has 1 home run, 3 RBIs. Alonso in 3 at bats against Wacha, 1 home run, 3 RBIs, batting .667. So, these are a couple of matchups. DJ Stewart in 9 at bats has a home run and 2 RBIs. So this could be an opportunity for the Mets here to come out the gate at home and kind of wipe what happened in their original homestand, kind of wipe that clean and take care of business against Michael Wacha in Kansas City. As we move on to game 2, I don't think there's as much battles to look into here, but I am going to see if I can find maybe one. I know that Salvador Perez, again, you mentioned Salvador Perez in the beginning. We're going to mention him again. 13 at bats against Sean Manaea, batting .308, 2 home runs, 2 RBIs. The Mets really haven't seen Alec Marsh, and those tend to concern me when the Mets haven't seen a specific pitcher, because they always struggle with pitchers they have not seen yet. So that's something that I'm going to be, looking into for sure. And hopefully the Mets can, come through there. It's either pitchers that they haven't seen before or left-handed pitchers that just always give the Mets, fits. And, Reagan's is a lefty. Mets haven't really faced him as much and haven't done. Huh?
They haven't seen him either.
No, maybe a few at bats. I think they got one game because you got a couple of at bats here. You got 3 at bats from Alonso, doesn't have a hit. You got 3 at bats from Beatty, no hits. Lindor, no hits. McNeil is the only one who I think is like 3 for 3 against Reagan. So maybe that's someone to look out for, especially since Jeff McNeil has been hitting a whole lot better. Maybe that's, something that we can look into.
Yeah, and we're missing our old friend Seth Lugo, who's 2-0 with a 1.45 ERA. What is it when they leave the Mets? They find their magic, I mean, even
he's a starter. He's a starter.
Yeah.
The Mets didn't want him to be a starter.
Exactly.
They wanted him to stay in the bullpen.
Yeah.
That's the problem with that one. Michael
Wacha, he was a good pitcher before the Mets, stunk when he came here, and now he's good again. What is it?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It always seems to happen, to the New York Mets with that. So
yeah, if I may, I want to talk a little about Drew Smith, because I know he is 1-0 with a 0.00 ERA, which sounds great. And I know he pitched very well today. 1.2 innings, no hits, a couple strikeouts. But he in the 6 innings he pitched, he's letting the inherited runners score, and his WHIP is 1.8, which is the highest on the team before today. And that's the highest. And the only 2 people who are higher are no longer on the team, Tirana and Ramirez. So I'm a little concerned when Drew Smith comes in the game. Today wasn't so bad. They had a big lead. But when it's a close game, your heart gets a little faster.
Well, yeah, everyone's concern has been, how can we not get Drew Smith in these crucial situations, right? Like in these time in the 8th inning, we don't want to see Drew Smith coming. But the problem is that the Mets have been just mowing through their bullpen.
I know.
And he was the only one available on Monday.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that's when you're going to see a little bit more of him. So I feel like there's really outside of Edwin Diaz, there is no set bullpen structure
Mhm.
or, bullpen labels for these guys.
Yeah.
We have seen Adam Ottavino go into the eighth a
Uh-huh.
few times. It's worked a couple times. It hasn't worked a couple times. So there's really no, set, I guess, lineup for the way that they're going to use this bullpen. It's just going to be
Matchup.
whoever's available right now
And
until the starting pitching goes deep.
exactly. And let me ask you something. I know Monday, and this is a nit on my part. Mendoza said that Ottavino, Raley, and Diaz was not available, and I get that. But do you really need to tell the other team that? I mean, I know it's a nit, and maybe the other team already knows it, but still, you don't need to broadcast it. You can leave us a question in their heads.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people complain about that whole issue, and you know what? I'd have to agree. I think that you probably should just keep that in the vest. Say, don't even say who's available, who's not available. So a lot of people do that, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why they would do that. But we'll see. We'll see how they play this out. We know that Edwin Diaz is fresh for this series. That's
Oh
for
yeah.
sure. He'll be very fresh for this series, and they got to use Tyler J, so that means that, you got Ottavino's probably fresh,
Mhm.
Raley, Diekman. I don't even think we saw Diekman more than once.
Right. Diekman right now does not give me the warm and fuzzies. That's for sure. It's a little
Yeah.
nervous when he comes in the game. I mean, he has an over 8 ERA, so that's got to come down. Obviously, it's just small sample size, but that's got to come down.
Well, he's not going to get your crucial at bats against lefties. That's going to go to Brooks Raley, unless Raley is out, and then you go to Diekman. So I am not too concerned with the usage of him just yet. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Lane Kerner wants to just cut Drew Smith. He's had enough. He's already had enough of Drew Smith. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Uh, you know,
I
we
think Drew
need
Smith
bodies.
I think he has the talent. He just needs to harness it and be very confident when he goes out there.
Yeah, he does. He does. He definitely does. And you remember in 2022 was his best start, of his career, and then he got hit in the hand, dislocated his finger, and he wasn't the same after that.
Right.
And he hadn't been the same for like a good year. So nice to see him get off to the start he did. But to what you were saying, some warning signs to be concerned about.
Yeah. Yeah. His whip is very, very high. So I'm very concerned about that.
We'll definitely keep an eye out on that. A few things I want to get from you, your thoughts on, the whole thing with Dwight Gooden this weekend and him getting his number retired. What are your thoughts on that happening?
I was an intern for the New York Mets in 1984, and that's the year Dwight Gooden came up, and it was just magical. I mean, I was an intern in the public relations department, so I was in the press box every game, and every game he started, it was unbelievable. And he actually had me do a project to see the difference in attendance that Dwight Gooden made. And he is just an exceptional pitcher, obviously. It's good for him that he's getting his life together and that his numbers going up on the left field with Keith and all those guys. And next is going to be Daryl in June, and I hope Daryl's getting better. He had some health issues, so hopefully he's not going to be able to be there. That's too bad, but I'm sure he's there in spirit.
You know, uh, Dwight had talked about. I found this interesting. He had talked about the fact that he had tried to return multiple times
Yes.
with the Mets in the '90s. I did not know that, and
Yeah.
I really don't blame the Wilpons at the time. I mean, I don't know how many chances he was given with the Mets when he was here, but man, it would have been nice to see him retire as a New York Met, or even like 2000 get that final opportunity.
Exactly. And he even offered to go to the minor leagues to work himself back. And I guess Steve Phillips said, no, there's no room for you. I mean, come on. That would have been an amazing story. I know he's had his ups and downs, but it looks like he's on a good path now. And we just hope the best for him. And it's going to be an amazing day on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to ask you this question because I asked this of Greg Prince when he came on the podcast and we were talking about Dwight. I asked this with Brian Wright, who's going to be on the podcast tomorrow. So I'm going to ask you the same question. Throughout Mets history, right? And we're talking Tom Seaver, Kuzman, every pitcher. Is Dwight Gooden's 1985 season the best single season starting season for a pitcher from the Mets?
I'm saying this as a rabid Tom Seaver fan. Tom Seaver is my favorite pitcher, favorite Met player of all time. And I know he had 3 Cy Youngs and is amazing. But having witnessed that 1985 season, Dwight Gooden, that was the most electric season in Met baseball history. The way he went out, was he 21-4, something like that?
I think he was. It was either
24-4.
Yeah.
24-4 to 1.74 ERA. It was just disgustingly dirty. It was great. He was just mowing down everybody, and you knew he couldn't ever replicate that. And he tried to, and maybe that was one of the reasons they would never not make him come back. But he was that was just an amazing season.
Yeah, we know Tom Seaver has the longevity
Yes.
of being the best pitcher in Mets history.
Yes.
But when you look at one singular season, I kind of took 1969, put that with 85, and Greg Prince told me 1971, so I threw that one in there as comparable seasons to go after. And I still think maybe 85 Dwight is better. And now I've never seen either of them pitch live. I might have to go on YouTube and see if I can find them, pitching for the seasons. But from the stats I've seen, the fact that he won the Triple Crown in 85, that's pretty hard to beat. And the electricity that it had in this city.
Yeah. I see my friend Gary Mack is saying Seaver's 1969 was better. And I was 7 years old, so maybe, he's a little older than me, so maybe he knows. But my witnessing, I thought Dwight Gooden's 1985 was just spectacular.
Yeah. You wonder, right? You wonder if he was able to stay clean, if he was able to continue to pitch with the Mets, would he have eventually overtaken, Tom Seaver as the greatest pitcher in Mets history? Obviously, hindsight's 2020, but you got to wonder a little bit about this. It's a good debate to have.
Yes. Well, we'll never know because he got in all the other stuff, which is unfortunate. But he's going to be celebrated on Sunday, and it's well deserved, my man. Well deserved.
Absolutely, absolutely. Lane Kerner here had something about tomorrow with the Mets wearing their new black uniforms. I think that they will. I saw them at Citi Field, and I I don't hate them. I don't love them. They are what they are. I do not like this whole Fanatics Nike partnership.
Oh yeah,
at all.
Yeah, did you see a player who slid into home plate? His pants ripped. That was
pants ripping, jerseys soaked. It's I don't know. Did you go to a game yet? Have you been?
No, Sunday.
All right, so me and my wife went to game 1 and game 2 against Milwaukee. We go in the store. She likes the black jersey. She's big on the black jerseys, even the older one. But she was looking to maybe get one. And then she touches it. It's like super paper thin. Super paper thin jersey. I don't know what. I know that the technology is supposed to be that it's supposed to make them feel more comfortable. But they're like George Costanzing this right now.
I was just thinking that.
Right? I mean, I don't know how. It's supposed to be a 10-year contract with Nike. I don't know if they're going to do it after that because, Nike is giving the material, and then you have Fanatics doing, the names and the numbers, and it just, I don't know. Last season, I bought 5 or 6 jerseys for about $300 because they're on sale on MLB and Fanatics. They're like the Mitchell and Ness They're all like they feel like the authentic
Hmm.
jerseys. I got a couple of Piazza ones. I got a Doc and a Darryl and a Keith Hernandez one. And this jersey now costs more than those jerseys combined.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And Nike is very big with the City Connect. And did I see today they're gonna have something purple with the Mets jersey for City Connect?
Yes. So the City Connect, and we have to remember here, you have to take the Mets out of this.
Right. No, I know it's nothing to
That
do with the Mets.
that it's to represent the city of New York and Queens. So the 7 line, it being purple, I've seen purple and grayish color type jersey that might be coming out here.
Hmm.
And I honestly, I'm my favorite color is purple, so I'm okay with this. I
Uh-huh.
don't know what other people feel. I just hope the design looks good enough, to warrant me having one.
Yeah. Well, as long as they win in any jersey, that's all I care about. They just got to win.
Yeah. Yeah. Some there is some posts that I didn't get to read, but I saved it in my bookmarks that Mrs. Subway to Shea sent me. And it just kind of explains the thought process of putting this jersey together. And it goes back all the way back to the late, early 1900s to when the New York Giants were kind of like purplish white stripe. I
Oh,
don't know if
okay.
you've seen those jerseys ever, but it's
Vaguely,
before,
maybe.
yeah, it's before they went to the orange and black.
Orange and black.
I gotta post it so you guys can see it at some point. But Gary Max doesn't like it either. So, yep, Gary. They look cheap. I don't like that the lettering is smaller. You can barely see the players' names on the back. They did now add the number to the front, which they've never had on a jersey that we would buy. They would never have the numbers on the front. But now that they have the numbers on the front, um, Gary also does not like the City Connect jerseys. So, are there any City Connect jerseys that you like, Jeff?
You know what? I thought the ones out in Colorado wasn't bad looking. I mean, I didn't understand the Boston one with the bright yellow.
But see, again, you got to take the team. I don't like it, but you got to take the team out of it. It has to do
Right,
with the city and the fact that something about the Boston Marathon
right.
has set that way. I did like the Angels one.
The Angels
I
weren't bad.
I
The
like
Giants, yeah, I wasn't too keen on the Giants one.
Giants was okay.
The
Yeah,
Dodgers all blue.
I don't like that one.
That's terrible.
I like the White Sox. They did the black South Side jersey. I thought
Right.
that one was cool. But it sucks that this year when we get these jerseys, it's the Nike Fanatics
Yeah.
mess of what we're going to see
Right.
happening to that.
Right.
Frank Puglisi in here says, I don't like the new jerseys because you can't even read the last names on them. Yep. I mean, especially now you look at the black jerseys without the white lettering to highlight. I don't know how they're going to look on tomorrow when they unveil them for the first game. The hats I like. I actually have one of the I had that hat
Uh-huh.
where it was without the white background.
Okay.
I had that just the blue and orange a couple of years ago before they kind of made it official. So Patty says that she doesn't like the Phillies one. I don't like them either.
Yeah.
And they leaked those like months in advance. We haven't even gotten a leak of what this could possibly look like at all. So I like the Phillies hat. I think the Phillies hat is pretty cool, but the jerseys I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't like the jerseys at all. So we'll see how the Mets one comes out. I'm going to assume that it does not say Mets on it. I'm thinking either Queens
Okay.
or New York in some fashion.
Okay. Well, we're gonna find out, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're gonna
That's
find
good.
out. Yep.
That is definitely going to happen soon. 130 people in here. Guys, I can't thank you enough for tuning in with me, for tuning in with Jeff. Appreciate every single one of you that hopped on today. And Jeff, let everyone know what you got cooking literally on the Baseball and BBQ podcast.
Well, we have some great guests. Look, we're not a Met-centric podcast, but we've had our share of Met players come on our show, and they range from Nelson Figueroa, Josh Tolley, Barry Lyons, Bobby Valentine came on, Joe Youngblood was on, Steve Traxel, Ed Kranepool. I can go on. last couple months, Curtis Granderson and Clint Hurdle. So those are pretty good ones. And coming up, I'm going to be interviewing Dave Magadan in a couple of weeks. So for those guys in '86, I remember Dave Magadan. He played on that team, so that was pretty cool. And we do get a lot of barbecue people as well, and it's just great talking to them, learning about how baseball and barbecue actually is a great combination. Hojo, who's been on the show, loves the barbecue. So does Steve Traxel. We had him on talking about barbecue, and in fact, he wanted to talk more about barbecuing than baseball. So it's a great combination, I think.
Well, that's awesome. And when did you say the next episode we can see come out?
It drops every Saturday. Every Saturday it comes out, and this week we're going to have there's a fundraiser at Pig Beach, which is in Queens. It's a fundraiser for the Jeff Michener Foundation. Then we have on a Yankee legend. His name is Ray Negron. Now, Ray Negron was never a ball player, but he was a bat boy for the Yankees. But he was caught graffitiing Yankee Stadium in the 70s, and the person who caught him was George Steinbrenner. Gave him a job. Now he's executive in the Yankee system. He knows all the stories. He grew up with the Yankees and knows everything, all the Yankee stories, all the fun stuff that goes beyond the scenes. And he was amazing.
Patty loves the baseball.
Thank you, Patty.
Podcast. Appreciate you setting that out there. And in regards to me, I got a show tonight with the Mets Evening Brew. You can catch that live at 9 p.m. on the Morning Brew Sports Network. Make sure you check that on YouTube. I'll probably post the link and you'll be able to watch from there. But like this show, join in on the chat, join in on the conversation. We got a lot going on, a lot to talk about, obviously with this series and next series. So a lot of the stuff that, is mentioned here, we'll probably go in depth there as well. So make sure to check that out tonight, 9 p.m. And the Subway to Shea podcast returns tomorrow with a good friend, Brian Wright. We kind of were working on a collaboration on a video that I voiced for him for Dwight Gooden. So that should be coming out as well at some point this weekend. And this episode is going to be about, Dwight Gooden. We're going to talk about, the Mets Hall of Fame and it getting moved. So I don't.
Let me ask you that, since you've been there.
Yeah.
What's going on? The Hall of Fame's not there anymore?
So they moved the Hall of Fame to. I'm trying to figure out how to explain. Where the home run challenges for the kids in the back, the Fan Fest area.
Yes.
There's in the corner there. There's a little room where they used to do the season ticket holders. Entrance, and it's in there, very small now, and they really just highlight, because obviously now Dwight and Doc are going into the Hall of Fame, so a lot of their stuff is highlighted. It's the anniversary of Shea Stadium this year, that's highlighted, and you got the little Casey Stengel thing. You got a seat from Shea Stadium, so those are out there, but it's not what it used to be. The plaques of the Mets Hall of Fame are throughout the rotunda at the top on the pillars. So you can see that there. And all they did was extend the store at Citi Field. So I hope that this is just a non-permanent spot for this.
I went to Kansas City with Leonard back in last August. I went to Kauffman Stadium. They had a beautiful Hall of Fame. Nice, big, all about the Kansas City Royals. They had, Bo Jackson and George Brett, a lot of displays. It was terrific. And I hope the Mets could do something like that.
Yeah, that's the hope. And, I think I saw Mark Healy and actually Brian Wright and a couple others were going to, kind of discuss what can be done, with the Hall of Fame, because obviously they made this store bigger, and as cool as it looks, it's not really like you're not buying Mets stuff anymore. You're buying Nike brand stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So everything's expensive. Like a player name T-shirt's $50. Like,
yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot to spend on that.
Of course, yeah. I miss Models. You can get that for $20 or something.
Yeah, yeah. I miss the Models. I miss the Sports Authority.
Yeah.
when they have there. Now I think it's just Dick's Sporting Goods is the only one, at least in the New Jersey area, that
Right.
I know for sure.
Same on Long
But
Island.
yeah, so you can catch me with Brian Wright on the podcast that'll drop in the morning.
Brian's a good
And
guy.
Brian is great, and I have his book here. It's all the way over there. Can't be able to reach for it, but the All Stars, his Mets All Stars book, I have that one from him. So yeah, make sure you check out Brian. Very knowledgeable historian of baseball and the Mets, and it's got a lot of great stuff happening. And before we go, all 135 of you in here, can't thank you enough. Appreciate you. Make sure to hit the like button, just like Carlos Ortiz says. Make sure you're subscribing to the Subway to Shea YouTube channel. You can catch my podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And that's pretty much it here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I appreciate you all. I hope you enjoy your night, because the Mets, won a series against the Atlanta Braves. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that right now, right? Or this
Doesn't get any
early in
better
the
than that.
season, after starting 0-5, the Mets have won a series against the Atlanta Braves and are kind of right back in the thick of things. So nice to see
Absolutely.
that going.
Nice to gain a game on the Braves, that's for sure. And you know what? We're gonna have a tough series at the Royals. We can't take them for granted. They're gonna be they won 7 in a row. They're streaking right now.
Yep, they're a tough team, so the bats need to continue. Just got to get Francisco Lindor going. Get
Yeah.
Francisco Lindor going. Get the starting rotation to go a little bit
And-
deeper. 6 innings this time, please. At least 1 or 2 of these games.
Get
And
JDM better. Get his back better so they can bring him up.
yeah,
You know,
if
fingers out till June now.
we won't miss JD Martinez as much, as long as DJ Stewart can continue to hit. So
Yeah.
hopefully that goes well for the Mets. Like Patty says, see you all tomorrow. Let's go Mets. Enjoy your weekend. From Subway to Shea, Jeff Cohen, baseball and barbecue.